Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Shade, bringing you a preview for tomorrow's game, Tottenham v Chelsea. I have a very, very special guest for you today, fellow countryman and yet transfer and tactical guru from Matty Hayes Tottenham Blogs. It's Matty Hayes. How are you?
I'm really good, David. Thanks. I love that intro. It's really good to be on here.
Yeah, look, you're a guy I love coming on. You've given me a platform with the podcast. Also, if you haven't checked them out, get over and check them out. I thoroughly enjoy doing them. It's a good hour-long conversation. And once again, thanks for giving me the platform and basically encouraging me to start up my own channel.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Now, before we get into it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and put your predicted lineup and score in the comment section. And as you know, I love hearing all the Harris Army's opinions out there. So make sure you get in, put it in below, because you know I'll get in. I get images. I like to comment back, and also let us know who you think is Ireland's #1 yet. Now moving into team news. Look, Lamela and Toby are out. Toby's supposedly out. The Celso's back. Do you think we actually might see Toby back tomorrow? Because as you know, there's a lot of murmurs going on between us Spurs fans that maybe Jose could be playing a trick in the press.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if Toby did start, but I think, look, when he went off with that injury against Manchester City, it did look a bit serious. I think we do have to count our blessings that it's not as bad as we first feared, and that we are even in a position where we could be talking about him potentially starting in this game against Chelsea. It's so hard to predict Jose Mourinho at this stage. You know, I said it about the Man City game. The biggest surprise in that lineup is that there were no surprises. It was ultimately what we were expecting, and I think aside from just having Toby in the player that he is, I think from a tactical standpoint, it could be really important to have him in that team, because if he is in there, it could allow us to play a 3 or a 5 at the back, which would be really important. So I think if there is any chance of him being fit for that game, I think we will see him. And I hope, of course, that the Mourinho is just trying to play a bit of mind games with Frank Lampard again, and perhaps we could see him in that starting 11.
Yeah, and look, just on Frank Lampard, it was interesting in his press conference yesterday that he said he reckons we might set up to counter-attack them. Do you think that will be the case, or do you think that we might actually start aggressive? Because for me, look, Stamford Bridge is a tight pitch. You know, you're not going to get too much time on the ball. And you have to fight for the ball. Every ball is a fight. And for me, like, our 3 midfielders is going to be crucial in there tomorrow. Sissoko, Hojbjerg, and Ndombele is what I'm going with. Purely because we need the strength, we need the legs, and we need the aggression in there to turn the ball over. And basically attack them and catch them out with their fullbacks bombing forward. And Son and Bergwijn are going to be crucial trying to exploit that space. And that's personally where I think maybe we could win the game. But like, looking back on the City tactics that he used, like where we kind of sat back and waited to take the ball off them and quick counter and take our chances. But then you look at the Ludogorets game, we started fast, we were aggressive, we completely dominated, we kept the ball ticking over nicely. What way do you think we're going to approach this game?
I think, first of all, it is an absolute pleasure, and it's a big advantage for us that we do have a selection of players that can play either way. You know, they can play deep, they can sit behind the ball and catch in a counter-attack, or they can control a game like we did against Ludogorets and against more substantial opposition like we did against Southampton and Manchester United in the Premier League. I think the Jose Mourinho is going to approach this game based on how he thinks Frank Lampard is going to play, and I think Lampard is going to be a bit naive, and he's going to come out and he's going to try and attack Spurs from minute one. I think he's going to play a high line. I wouldn't be surprised if he did play a 3-4-3 to kind of counteract those. As you were saying, our wingers could be really, really influential. But if Chelsea do play a 3-4-3, as they did against us last season, and try and pin back our wingers by overloading those wide areas, I think they could really take a lot of the bite out of our counter-attack and threat, which is a big concern for us. But we do have to remember we do have real quality players in that team who can find a way around that. And from a tactical view, again, Mourinho he will know how to counteract that in some ways. I think I agree with your midfield, those 3, Sissoko, Ndombele and Hojbjerg, because they're powerful, they're determined, they're gritty players, they won't hold out of a challenge. And I think that's the kind of approach we need to this game. But I just think Mourinho is going to purely try and catch out Frank Lampard. And I think Lampard will have an air of confidence going into this game. You know, last season he became the first ever manager to beat Mourinho home and away in a league season, which he's kind of the last man you'd expect to do that, with the student kind of becoming the master in some way. But I think he'd be brought back down to earth with Mourinho kind of the tactical side of things outperforming Lampard on that one. And look, the midfield is going to be really important as well. It's not just those wider areas, but I'm actually really, really looking forward to how this game is approached tactically by both managers, because for Chelsea to nullify our biggest threat, they will have to overload those wide areas. But then all of a sudden, if they do play a 3-4-3 and we have those three in midfield, we have that extra man in there, and it's going to be quite difficult for them to contain that, because we saw it when we had that extra man in midfield against Manchester City. Ndombele was able to pick up that space in between the lines, and we really, really troubled Manchester City on the counter-attack. Now, in the midfield, I do think Chelsea will be a bit more disciplined, because we saw Rodri in that City game, pressing in areas that he really shouldn't have been, and he left that space open for us in midfield. So I do think Chelsea will be a bit more disciplined, and when they are in the back foot, perhaps they'll perform a bit better than Manchester City. But I'd be concerned that they really can nullify our biggest counter-attacking threat if they do play that 3-4-3.
Yeah, look, I fully agree with you, but that's why I just think we need Hojbjerg and Sissoko and Ndombele in there, because they are three destroyers. They will get in amongst them, and look, it's important that we don't let them settle into a rhythm tomorrow from early on. Let them pass around them and we sit back. It's important that we don't do that. Look, it's a Chelsea team that no matter what, in my experience over the years, they turn up. They turn up against Tottenham. They love a game against Tottenham. Mm-hmm. And I honestly think as soon as that Hakim Ziyech gets the ball, we need to chop him down, because we've seen it in a couple of the games. He's going to look to play that ball in behind and exploit Dier and Alderweireld's pace for Timo Werner to get on the end. And it's important that anytime they do break on us, that we are cynical and we do take them down and take a tackle for the team, take a few yellow cards tomorrow. And look, Kane is one that I'm interested to talk about. As ever, he's going to be crucial tomorrow. Now, do you think because they're playing three up top or three at the back that it's a game where we kind of need Kane to stick up top, or is it a game where, like City, we see him drop in and let Bergwijn and Son go in behind and exploit them with their pace, especially Thiago Silva?
Yeah, no, I think Kane drops deep, 100%. Maybe not as deep as he did against Manchester City, because we're going to need, I suppose, a bit more of an outball and someone, if he is up there, someone who can hold up the play and allow runners kind of, come catch up with him, go past him, and he can flick the ball either side them. But I think as well, we are going to see him pick up those deeper, the space a bit deeper, and try and pull the strings from back there as well, because when we're playing so deep, if a lot of the time we do try and play out from the back, unless that option isn't there, and we don't take a risk, we hoof the ball up the pitch and hope someone gets on the end of it. But I think in terms of playing out from the back, he's going to be really, really crucial to that. And, look, if Chelsea play a 4-3-3, I think we win this game, hands down, because it's just so similar to the approach that Manchester City took against us, or us being able to kind of remove their wider midfielders, the wider midfield of the three, from that game. And I think that is a position Ziyech will probably pick up out on the right. I think you mentioned Timo Werner as well. I would not be surprised to see him play out on the left, because he hasn't really been the clinical finisher Chelsea have been hoping from him, and I think Tammy Abraham could cause our defence problems, especially if Toby Alderweireld doesn't pass fit for this one. So I think we could be in a bit of trouble if Werner does play out on the left, whether he'll be up against Sergio Aurier or Matt Doherty. But I think regardless of the threat that Chelsea do pose on the front foot, I think we do have to just look at the players that we have in there. And Kane, as you mentioned, is going to be absolutely pivotal for this game. And I think if he gets into his position, pulling the strings from a bit deeper, and if we do manage to have those runners getting in behind Thiago Silva, who doesn't have any ounce of pace at all, if he can catch Ben Chilwell and Reece James caught higher up the pitch, we could really outnumber Chelsea in the counter-attack, and Kane will be the man that will make that happen. Yeah,
look, I fully agree with you. And look, he's on the form of his life at the minute, same as Heung-min Son. So look, I really do hope that they turn up tomorrow, because it's going to be crucial that we are clinical and we take our chances when they arise. Kane dropping deep is going to be crucial, in my opinion, purely because they're not going to know whether to go with him or just or sit where they are. And look, I was talking to people that played centre back, and it's a very hard one to do, especially when the striker's dropping deep, because it's an area you don't really want to go into, because you will be exploited. Which hopefully Bergwijn and Son going in behind, we can exploit them. Another player tomorrow, I feel that is crucial. Interestingly, that you said Werner will be playing on the left, is Sissoko. Especially down Aurier's side, because he'll be attacking Aurier. And look, we've seen it time and time again where he doubles up down that side. For me, that especially with Werner's pace, I think he will cause Aurier a few problems. So for me, I think you're going to see Sissoko just purely out there doing a specific job tomorrow. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that would be the best way to counteract that. Just doubling up, and then we did a bit with Ferran Torres. With it was Son actually coming back in that game, but I don't think we'll see Son on the right hand side because that was purely because of the way Joao Cancelo was kind of sitting in as a second midfielder in there beside Rodri. So I think Sissoko kind of doubling up on Timo Werner with Aurier is the best action to take there, because if Werner is isolated against Serge Aurier, I think Werner wins that battle 9 times out of 10. Aurier is a good defender, he's a good player, but I don't think he's on the level to be able to contend with someone like Timo Werner over 90 minutes repeatedly. And that's just the unfortunate truth of it. I do think it will be Serge Aurier as well. Just to mention that I don't think Matt Doherty will be playing in this one,
No,
especially having played that game against Ludogorets and
Yeah.
having been ill as well. But I think Werner is probably the player I'm most concerned about. If he plays up top in the middle, I don't think we have anything to worry about, because we're not going to have enough space in behind us for him to be able to exploit that. The areas that he's in are going to be extremely congested, and his main attribute is his pace, and he's not going to be able to utilize that if he does play centrally. It is still a possibility, I would mention as well, because with Christian Pulisic coming back from injury, Lampard might be keen to get him straight back into the team. But on a similar thing, I think he's also going to get the better of Serge Aurier if it is a 1v1 out there. So Sissoko tracking back and doubling up and just kind of forcing them backwards out the left instead of allowing those balls into the box, I think could be something that we would need to keep Chelsea out.
Yeah, and just another interesting thing, May, I've been thinking about the last few days, and it's maybe after the performance against Ludogorets, that maybe if the game isn't going so well, that maybe we could switch it up with maybe 15, 20 minutes to go and see Dele Alli be brought on, and maybe for Ndombele or Sissoko, and then whoever doesn't come off will drop into a central defensive midfield with Hojbjerg, and then Ali can kind of play just in front of Kane. What do you think on that? Do you think that's something we could see?
Yeah, I think Dele Alli played quite well against Ludogorets, and I know a lot of people are saying it's only Ludogorets, you can't get too bogged down by it, but I thought his kind of tactical approach to the game in implementing what Mourinho wanted to do shows that perhaps there is a bit of space in him for this team. And I've always been vocal about this situation with Dele Alli, and I think Harry Winks falls into a very similar bracket in that the ability of the players has never come into question. We know they're good footballers, but it's kind of in the system that we're playing at the moment. They just don't fit into that, and we did see that kind of 4-2-3-1 creeping back into the team against Ludogorets, and Ali thrived again. I know it was against weaker opposition, but it does have to be noted as well. And he has a fantastic record against Chelsea. That's no secret. He scored twice when our only win at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League era. He scored other goals against them as well. So I think from that kind of, I don't know if you want to call it a superstitious point of view, whatever it is, I think it could be clever to get him in there for 15, 20 minutes. And as well, he loves a derby game. He's a fiery player. He's a Jose Mourinho type of player. I think if we can get him in, whether we're searching for a goal or whether we're trying to hold on to the game, he could be a nice kind of aggressive player to put in there for the closing stages of the game.
Yeah, as you say, look, while he's confident, I honestly think it will be the ideal game to come in. As you said, he loves a derby game. He's aggressive, and look, he also loves it. He does love a goal against Chelsea. So look, it's something I think we could see tomorrow. But just say if things aren't going well, and Lampard's system is better than ours, and they're kind of dominating the game. What sort of subs do you think we can make to change formation, change system?
And I'm not sure, because there's a lot of squad depth in our team. I think that goes without saying. But a lot of those players, in a way, are kind of similar. Like if you're looking at the players we have out on the left-hand side, Bergwijn and Lucas, I suppose, will be the second options there, or maybe Gareth Bale and Lucas on the other side. They're kind of just really quick, pacey players. Bale maybe a bit different, has that added quality. I think on the attacking side, just assume maybe it is Bergwijn who starts. Then it's Lucas coming on for him. It's not too much of a tactical difference, but it could be, those fresh legs can make a big change. I think Giovanni Lo Celso, a player like him coming off the bench, is, when you think about it, the quality that he has is kind of crazy that he is at this stage kind of a game changer for us. I think he could come on and add a bit more creativity, a bit more flair in the middle of the park. If it is for Sissoko, if we're out searching for a goal, if it's for Ndombele for whatever reasons. Defensively, we're looking a bit frail at the moment. If there is going to be any sort of a defensive sub later in the game, I think it will be a tactical switch. If it's going from a 4 to 5 at the back, or if it's going from a 5 to 4 at the back, I don't think it will come down to a player coming off the bench and like completely flipping the game on its head for us. But if we're looking at game management, I think there are players out there who can come on and help us out towards the end.
Yeah, and look, like you said, if they do play 3 at the back, do you think maybe we could see Vinicius being brought on to go two up top maybe. If we do need to try and change the game.
Yeah, that's certainly an option. It happened against West Brom, and I thought he played quite well with Harry Kane. They were working well off each other, and I think if Vinicius does play, Harry Kane will take up a similar position to what Ali did against Lou de Gretz, and they kind of worked well together. Vinicius making those decoy runs, and the number 10 coming in and making that late run. That's always a tricky one for defenders to deal with, and when that player coming in is Harry Kane, that makes it 10 times more difficult to deal with because of the quality of player that he is. So I think in any game where we do have Carlos Vinicius and Harry Kane playing together, I think we will see a lot of trouble caused for an opposition defence.
Yeah, I fully agree. Look, we'll get into the predicted lineup. For me, I have Lloris and goals. I'd say you do too. So there's not really much to talk about there. Look, he's on good form. He's playing well. He's commanding his area. We've seen a couple of times over the years that he tends to switch off. He hasn't done lately. So look, hopefully he can keep another clean sheet tomorrow. Moving into right back, I think we both agree. Aurier will play right back.
He's the best option for sure.
Doherty played the Lou de Gretz game, so I can't see him playing today. And look, plus Aurier's a player that seemed to have turned it around. Doherty coming in has been good for him. It's given him a kick up the backside, and he tends to stay concentrated now. Look, he had a very good game against City. I honestly thought maybe that might have been an area where they could exploit us, and it didn't happen. So look, I hope he does play purely as well because his pace would be critical tomorrow with Werner. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think Sergio Aurier as well, partly because of Doherty being out for that couple of weeks and playing that game on Thursday. But I think we're just going to need a bit more pace out in that right hand side. If it is, whether it's Pulisic or Timo Werner who plays out there, we're going to need someone who can match that, and Doherty isn't that man. And as well, on the counter attack, I think Sergio Aurier can offer a bit of something as well out that right hand side, if it is needed. Yeah.
And moving into centre back now, Eric Dyer, obviously he's going to play. Look, the guy was absolutely immense against City. The amount of blocks that guy put in. He's a player again that Mourinho has turned his career around. It's a player that Dyer is a player that has also brought into the Mourinho way. Whatever effect Mourinho's had on him, it's working. And look, I hope he keeps it up because it's a player we all thought was done. He had a lot of injury problems and that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a player we all liked. We all did like him. We all wanted it to work out for him. And Mourinho has found his position in the centre back. And the way he's going, he could definitely be England's number one centre back before long if he keeps it up.
Yeah, for definite. And I think a lot of people laughed at Jose Mourinho and he's at Manchester United and he was so interested in signing Eric Dyer. But Mourinho obviously saw something in him, in the player, with regards to Mourinho's own system that really, really worked, and we're starting to reap the rewards of that now. Dyer, I think, has been one of our most improved players this season, along with, I think, the two we've already mentioned in Lloris and Aurier. But for definite, I think when Alderweireld's out, Dyer is the first defensive player whose name is on the team sheet.
Yeah, and look, in beside him now tomorrow, this is one that whoever comes in, they have to be ready to go mentally. They have to be ready to go tactically as well. And look, we need a big game out of whoever plays inside. Who do you think Mourinho is going to put his faith in tomorrow?
I think it's going to be Joe Rodon. To be honest, I know he hasn't had much game time. He, I think, came on for the last 10 minutes against City. He made an appearance. I know it was at the Burnley or West Brom game. He played the last couple of minutes in that one. It's going to be a massive call for Mourinho to make, but I think it's one he will make. Rodon, when he came on against City, he was really vocal. He didn't have much to do. I think he only actually had one touch of the ball. But, you could hear him, with the benefit of the fans not being there, but you could hear him over the TV making those calls. He's confident. And we saw, like, say, last season, Tanganga stepping in against Liverpool. Sometimes when your first game is a massive fixture like this one, it can benefit you because you need to be completely tuned in, and he's not going to take any risks. And I think if Toby Alderweireld is unfit, as we are expecting, I think we will see Joe Rodon start in this one.
Yeah, Joe Rodon is one for me that I'd like to see play. Personally, we bought him for a reason. I honestly think if Mourinho had full trust in Sanchez, we wouldn't have seen Rodon come in. So personally, Sanchez is a player I think Mourinho is trying to phase out, in my opinion. For me, the guy's just not good enough. He switches off. We've seen it time and time again last season. We've seen it time and time again already at the start of this season, costing us in some games. And for me, it's just not good enough. And a lot of Spurs fans are starting to lose patience with him. And there's only so many chances you can give this guy. So for me, I'd like to see Rodon given a chance. And I know a lot of fans are calling for Jaffa Tanganga. Look, don't worry, we're not forgetting about him. But the thing is, he just won't be fit enough to play at that intensity for 90 minutes tomorrow. He's only back
Mm.
a long-term injury.
Especially having played 90 minutes against Ludogorets as well. I think 90 minutes in 4 days is just too much to ask from him.
Yeah, it's way too much. Look, it's a player that I love personally. I think he is going to be our new Ledley King, even down to his injury problems. Everything screams Ledley King, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And,
no, I definitely agree.
Just while we're talking about Ledley King, the effect this guy has had on our defence since he's come in, and the clean sheets we're starting to keep. Look, it's a legend. It's a Spurs legend. It's one of my favourite ever Spurs players, and it's great to see him back at the club. And like just in pre-season, like in some of the games, you could see him having deep conversations with Alderweireld. So it's clearly, look, a lot of the clean sheets are clearly down to him, and it's a guy that Mourinho trusts.
Yeah, definitely. And, I think this debate has been going around, I think, around Manchester United quite a bit recently, in that, you need to get former players into your backroom staff because of everything they bring. I don't agree with the fact that it's just, if they're a former player, bring them in and they'll do well. Yeah. I think you're looking in the right place when you do mention that, but you need to find the former players who have that leadership, who have the knowledge of the game, who have the ability to coach. And I think Spurs have really, really hit the nail on the head bringing Ledley King in, because he has all of those attributes and more that make him such a good addition to Mourinho's backroom staff.
Yeah, look, for me, when you're bringing in a former player, it has to be a legend. It has to be a player that died for the badge, bled for the badge, and played for the jersey. Look, we heard about him time and time again that he probably would have been one of the world's best centre-backs bar his injuries. Look, and he was involved when we won our last cup, the Carabao Cup that time, or the Carling Cup, whatever it was called. So look, it was a master stroke from Mourinho, in my opinion, to bring him in. Now moving into midfield, Matty. Look, Hojbjerg, this player is the midfield general. In my opinion, he's United's answer to Roy Keane. It's perfect. This guy is similar mould. He's so aggressive, and I honestly think he's going to eat Lampard's little fanboy Mason Mount alive tomorrow. I honestly do. And look, we've seen it time and time again. He's so crucial at turning over ball in that midfield. He just has a knack of being in the right place at the right time. And for me, this guy needs to stay fit for as many games as possible this season without injuries and that, because he really is a player that just can't be dropped at the minute. And for me, that he plays that anchorman role, and the guy's just made for it.
Yeah, 100%. He's been the biggest addition to our team so far this season. Of course, Sergio Reguilon has been a fantastic addition. Gareth Bale, of course, coming in is always going to be a huge benefit. And Doherty has had some good games, but Hojbjerg has completely transformed our team. His numbers in the middle of the park are absolutely sensational. I think even without the numbers, you can just see from the way he plays on the pitch just how good he is. He's that destroyer out of possession. He's a metronome in possession. I think he does strike fear into some opposition players. And Mason Mount, who, famously, he's not a physical player. He doesn't like players getting close to him. I think if Hojbjerg can put in 1-2 challenges on him early on, if it is Mason Mount that starts, I think that could definitely be him out of the game. And for me, one of the biggest benefits of having Hojbjerg in this team, which a lot of people are, I suppose, kind of glossing over, is the fact that he offers Ndombele so much freedom. And Ndombele can, we've seen him picking up spaces in between the lines. I think, we mentioned the City game already, even going back to that game against Burnley. We wouldn't say we parked the bus, but we played relatively deep for so long. And then when Burnley kind of started to come out looking for that goal in the last 10-15 minutes, it was Ndombele sat forward. He dropped in between those lines. And that's never something we would have seen from him last season, because, he was kind of that player we needed sitting a bit deeper in that Hojbjerg role. And although he didn't play as much as Hojbjerg, as consistently as Hojbjerg is this season, I think when he was on the pitch, he just couldn't showcase what we know he can do now when he is on the ball, beating players, picking out passes as well. And the best way I can describe it is Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg and Tanguy Ndombele together kind of create a sort of Moussa Dembele effect. And on one hand, it shows, just how sensational a player Moussa Dembele was. But now it just shows, even when two players are filling in that role, how different Tottenham's midfield is and how much we can control a game in the middle of the park when we do have those options. Yeah,
look, so obviously we're going Ndombele in there as well. Look, he's a guy for me that, again, Mourinho has done wonders. He's absolutely turned his career around at Tottenham. I've heard some Spurs fans say, we're lucky that we had the break in the season when we did, otherwise Ndombele would be gone. But at the end of the day, Mourinho used that to his advantage and really got Ndombele on board and buying into his ideas. Mm-hmm. And it's a player, like you said, that we all love to see, because he just has that X factor. He just knows, he just gets us off our seats. Like, if it's not from working hard, bouncing into 3 or 4 challenges, slide tackling around, it's on the ball. He's well able to pick a pass. He's well able to breeze by his players. Anytime they try and come in and tackle him, he just bounces off them. And look, we've seen it a couple of times already, especially during the game against City. The little step over took two of their midfielders out of the game and the ball over the top of the sun. It's a player that me and you have always said there was a player in there. There is a player in there, and that we would have given him another season to try and get the best out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's working. And look, testament to the lad that he's just undroppable at the moment. And it's just unfortunate, really, because another player, he's very unfortunate to miss out is Lo Celso, in my opinion. Look, Lo Celso offers exactly what Ndombele offers, in my opinion, the aggression, the work rate off the ball. And he's also good on the ball. But Ndombele, in my opinion, just tends to make things happen a bit more than what Lo Celso does. And that's why Ndombele gets the nod. And now moving on to Sissoko, this is a player that a lot of our fan base underrate. Look, we all know he can't control the ball, he can't pass the ball, he can't do. but it's purely the dirty work of the game that he does. And every team needs a player like that. You can't have 11 players that are comfortable on the ball. You need a player that's just like, you know yourself, when you're playing Astro, you might have a player there again who can't kick a ball, but he works harder than everybody else, and that's exactly what you need. And they're players that are of use to the squad, especially like we mentioned, doubling up with Aurier down that side. It's exactly what we need. And just his aggression, just to get in around the midfield, especially with Kovacic and Jorginho and Kante, whoever plays in there, it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. He's such a dominant kind of powerful footballer. And again, if it's him who is closer to Mason Mount on the pitch, he can be that person to throw in that one or two tackles to kind of take Mount out of that game. And while he definitely doesn't have the technical ability of the players in the rest of our team, once he gets on the ball and he starts running at defenses, it's because of the power and it's pace that it's weird, because when he's running, he's running faster than it looks like he is, if that makes any sort of sense. He's just so powerful. He manages to glide past players even though it doesn't look like he's running fast at all. And that again on the counter attack, if he manages to pick up the ball in some decent positions, can catch Chelsea out there. And he's, I think a lot of fans are still judging him on his first season at Spurs, which, as we all know, was an absolute calamity. He was absolutely dreadful. But he's improved season on season, and he's become, the first name, one of the first names in the team sheet, one of the most consistent starters, and it's credit to him, but also credit to the coaching staff and stuff that have managed to turn him into that player.
Yeah, look, he's a player when we bought him that a lot of fans thought we were going to see what he was doing at Newcastle, but it was never going to be the case. And I was one that stated that my opinion on that at the time, purely because Newcastle sit back, and when a team's trying to push and go for the game against them, that's where he was effective for them. He was just able to get the ball, run down the right-hand side and absolutely smash one in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at Tottenham, when we're on the front foot, it's not something that he can do. And that's why it took him a while to really find his position at Tottenham. But since he's found it, look, he's come on leaps and bounds. And it's a player that I have defended at times. And I just think we don't give him enough appreciation. But, and as well, that what he offers is the reason why I also think Harry Winks missed out. Look, Harry Winks doesn't play tomorrow for me, or start anyway. Just purely because we've seen time and time again, when he plays, we just get overrun. We don't turn the ball over, and he's just not physical enough to be playing in there with them three Chelsea midfielders.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of a difficult one with Winks, because he's a Tottenham fan. He came to the academy. He when he first stepped into the team, he scored that goal in his debut against West Ham. He in his first season had some really terrific performances, and I think it's so similar to the Dele Alli situation. There's a lot of sentimentality in there for a lot of fans, but ultimately they're just players in that team who are better than him. And again, it's that system. It doesn't suit him enough, and I think perhaps it's a bit harsh that he doesn't even make it onto the bench as often as he's left out of the squad. But just nothing can be done about that, unfortunately. If he doesn't improve, if he doesn't adapt, there's not going to be a place in this team for him, because the competition is there. And that's one of the things with the recruitment from this summer, even back in January, Jose Mourinho. There's no room in our team for passengers anymore. In the past, players like Eriksen and Ali were performing poorly. They still had to start because there was no one there who could replace them. But there's no room for passengers now, and that's why we are becoming such a fantastic team.
Yeah, look, for anyone that plays football, anytime you get a new manager, it's up to you to fit into his system. It's not up to him to fit you into their system. And at the end of the day, Winks is a guy that, look, as much as he's homegrown, he's one of our own and all of that. Sentiment will only get you so far. You have to have the quality.
Exactly.
Especially when we're bringing in players, improving the team. It's up to him to try and find that new level, that's something different to his game that will get him into the Mourinho team.
Yeah, and is he going to do that? I think the jury's still out at the moment, but I can't really see it happening, unfortunately.
Look, personally, I don't think he has the mentality. Look, I don't even think he has the cleverness to take on a lot of the tactics at times. Like you see when the West Ham game, we brought him on, we absolutely capitulated. And then especially that last goal that they scored, it was, I don't understand why he just didn't take him out. But look, anyway,
it's naivety, I think.
Yeah, but like, look, he's not exactly young either. Like, you know, he's a mid-20-year-old now. He's a man now, Matty. Do you know what I mean? He's not a young kid anymore. But look, moving on to going three up top. I'm going to go with Son, Bergwijn, and Kane. For me, Bergwijn, he didn't have the best of games against City, but what he was asked to do, he was very effective at. At times, you've seen Kane dropping very deep, almost at times into our own box. And Bergwijn staying up top, looking for that ball in behind, like he done on his debut, getting in behind and smashing one in. And to me, I think he'll be crucial tomorrow. Look, I think Gareth Bale is unlucky to miss out. But for me, he didn't do enough against Ludogorets now in the starting spot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I think we might see Gareth Bale, to be perfectly honest, because, you know, we can have the likes of Bergwijn and Lucas kind of coming off the bench. And look, now Brighton, just after drawing against Liverpool there, they scored a late equaliser in that one. I think it's a massive opportunity for us to, it was actually another penalty they scored from. It's a massive opportunity for us to find some daylight between Liverpool and, of course, Chelsea if we beat them. And I think Gareth Bale is kind of the type of mentality, the type of player that you need in there who is so used to being in these sort of situations, because in the past, you know, it's no secret over the last 8-9 years when we have been in really, really good positions, go back to Harry Redknapp's time, those 1 or 2 seasons, the majority of Poch's time as well, when we have been so close to making that step to where we wanted to be, we just didn't do it. And I don't know what it is, but it always seemed to be that one final game, if it was getting into the top 4, if it was getting on top of the table, that one individual game that would have done it is the one that we messed up on. And you know, we've done it now against West Brom to put us top for a few hours there. We've done it against City to put us top for a week. And I just think Gareth Bale could be the kind of, from a mentality side, could be a really good player to have out on that pitch. And again, can't question his ability either. Son on the other side is, of course, or on either side is a no-brainer, and Harry Kane up front as well. I agree with you on those two.
Yeah, look, just on the Gareth Bale thing, for me, we haven't seen the best Gareth Bale yet. And look, he looks like he's getting fitter. He's looking sharper. But he's just missing that spark that he had, that he once had.
Yeah.
Do you think, look, that's just down to just getting a run of games and getting it back? Or do you think maybe he has just lost that bit of edge that he once had?
Look, I think it's a bit of both. You know, he was very keen to say it. I think the interview we did with Peter Crouch at BT Sport earlier on, he said, you know, he knows he's not that pacey player anymore. He knows he's going to have to adapt his game, as every footballer does, as they move into their 30s. But I think we've started to see a bit of an evolution of his game since he came back into Tottenham. I think that those early Europa League games he played, you could see him getting the ball and kind of just passing it short, and he wasn't keen to take men on. But we saw a few really, really impressive turns of pace against Ludogorets, which, again, if he does get that consistent game time, he can start to bring into his game a bit more. And I think as a quick, wide player, I think he does still offer something to us, not as much as he did in the past, or not as much as he did for Real Madrid. Yeah. But I think it's about getting that game time, getting him back to full fitness. And I think there is still a lot more to come from him.
So do you think that if he does play tomorrow, do you think we start him on the left side and Son on the right, or do you think we start Son on the right, or Son on the left and Gareth Bale on the right to cut in and maybe have a couple of pops at goal, or what side would you like to see Gareth Bale and Son play tomorrow then?
I think Son goes back on the left. He did really well on the right against Man City, but as I mentioned, that was purely because Joao Cancelo was stepping up into that double pivot, and the space was left in behind there because Cancelo had to fill the hole in the centre when Rodri went wandering. So I think Son back on the left, up against probably Reece James, who, of the two fullbacks between James and Chilwell, James is probably a weaker defender. He's really, really good going forward, but he's still young. So he still is it his first season in Chelsea's team consistently? So there's definitely a mistake or two in him, and Son would probably be the better player to exploit that. And then on the other side, I suppose if Chilwell is going to be the more attacking fullback, was that's where he thrives as well. I think if we do lose Gareth Bale, tracking back to him, it's not as big a loss as if it was Heung-min Son who was doubling up down that right hand side.
Yeah, I completely agree. Look, for me, Reece James can be exploited behind because, as we know, he loves to bomb forward. He's very naive. So for me, getting in down the sides of this Chelsea team is going to be very important tomorrow. And look, maybe you're all right with the Gareth Bale team just purely because we know he can whip in a good cross. And look, we're going to have the superhero, the big man Kane up top to get on the end of them, hopefully. And look, I honestly think Kane's going to run Thiago Silva ragged tomorrow, in my opinion. I think Kane's going to expose Thiago Silva's age. Now, just moving into the score prediction, what score are you going for?
It's such a tough one. It really is. Look, going into the Man City game last week, I said it a few times and I was laughed at for it, but it was the most confident I'd been going into a game this season. I was 100% confident. Yeah, like it just for some reason it felt like a game that we were going to win. I don't have a similar feeling to this game. I'm quite worried about this one. I think it's a derby. In a way, Tottenham aren't the underdogs. I wouldn't say we're the favourites to win it, but we kind of do thrive as the underdogs. I don't think we are that going into the game tomorrow. And I can see it going either way, to be honest. But I think it will come down to Lampard against Mourinho rather than Chelsea against Tottenham. And on that, I would have to say I think Tottenham will edge it by a goal. Yeah,
I'm personally going to go 2-1 myself. I honestly think we will edge it by a goal. Like you said, against City, I was super confident. I just had that feeling. I'm kind of nervous tomorrow. Like you said, we thrive as being the underdogs, even though fan base thrive off it. I think tomorrow will probably be slightly favourites going into the game just purely because how effective we were against City. And it's a game that they just notoriously turn up in. Like, we remember back to the Battle of the Bridge, they didn't want us going for the league title that year.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about it, it's going to be the same tomorrow. But it's just a game. When you look at the squad unity, the camaraderie that they have between them, it's just a game for me that the boys are just going to get over the line for Jose. I honestly think they love him that much that they're not going to fail him tomorrow. And for me, I'm going with 2-1, and I'm going to go with a Harry Kane goal. And funny enough, I'm actually going to go with a Dyer goal. He loves these derby games.
It's a big shout.
He loves these derby games. We've seen him do it against Arsenal. It's a game he turns up for. He's aggressive. He's vocal. He loves them. So look, I'm not. Look, a lot of people are saying it's a must-win. In my opinion, it's not a must-win. Even if we lose, especially after Liverpool draw today, it's not the end of the world. It's really not the end of the world. But for me, if we can't win it, I want to take a point home because it just keeps that unbeaten feeling ticking over, which is so important for confidence going into every other game, especially with Arsenal next week.
Yeah, definitely. I think that Arsenal game is one where we will be looking to pick up that 3 points, and I fully agree with you. This run of games that we have with City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Leicester, and Wolves in 6 of 7 games. I think Palace is the other one. If we can come out of it unbeaten, I think we're going really, really well. We already have the longest unbeaten run in the Premier League. Only lost our opening game of the season against Everton. It's all about momentum when you're fighting for whatever it is, you're looking for top 4 or fighting for a league title. It's all about momentum, and I think if we can get through this period of games unscathed, picking up full points against City, full points against Arsenal, full points against Crystal Palace, and maybe one of Leicester or Wolves, I think we're in a really good position. I think I said it earlier on before this even started. From those 7 games, I'd want to pick up 15 out of 21 points, and I think the confidence that we have gotten from that City game, I think we are well on course to smash that. And I wasn't the only one who said if we do come out of this period still in the title race, I think the crown is ours to lose.
Yeah, look, I completely agree with you. It's a run of fixtures that we have spoken about, even on your podcast. That it is. Yeah. It's a run of fixtures that's very important for this club. Like some people may say, we're getting carried away with title talk at this moment in time. But look, we were top of the league heading into some of this period of fixtures, and it's one I want to come out top again. And like you said, if we do come out top, it's ours to lose. But I don't think we will. I just think the fact that over the years we've been close. I just think the Pochettino mentality in the team just let us down. But but just the team spirit and the Mourinho effect and his mindset, even hearing the players coming out talking the way they are, title talk and stuff like that, even asking other players to pull their weight. It's just something I can't see us losing. I really do think we're a different animal this year. But look, we'll wrap it up here. Look, thanks very much, Matty. I've absolutely loved this. I appreciate you coming on and taking time out of your day. I know you're a busy man lately. Look, you're a guy going on to big things, so I urge all the House Army to get over and check out Matty Hayes Tottenham blogs. He does great shows from podcasts, and also make sure you check out his tactical show there that he put up there last night. It's a fantastic watch. You'll thoroughly enjoy it. The man loves his football. He's my rival for Ireland's #1 Spurs fan. Like I said, make sure you get your comments in below and let us know. But either way, I love speaking to you, and thanks for coming on today, Matty.
Yeah, absolute pleasure, David. You know, you're on my channel almost every week at this stage. I really do enjoy talking to you. You've offered some fantastic insight, and it was my absolute pleasure to come on and join you here today.
Yeah, look, one of us is Ireland's #1 Spurs fan. One of us is Ireland's #1 Spurs YouTuber. I'll let you work out. Put your comments in below. Look, get your colours out. Get your jersey, your hat, your scarves. I have mine out. I'm ready. In Jose we trust. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.